The cosmos is a spectacle of beauty. Photos and videos of galaxies, rotating planets, and cosmic wonders never fail to mesmerize me. But nature here on Earth is no less breathtaking. Sunrises and sunsets, coral reefs bursting with color, flower gardens, fall forests, and the brilliant variety of birds and sea life. Even people. The diversity among species and within humanity itself is remarkable. Sometimes just gazing at the horizon under a calm blue sky is enough to spark deep reflection. How did all of this come to be? Philosophers and theologians have framed a question this way: why is there something instead of nothing? Here's what I know. Something does not come from nothing. If there was ever a time when absolutely nothing existed, then there would still be nothing today. So the only logical conclusion is that there must be some eternal reality. The real question is, what or who is eternal? The reality is, there are really only two possibilities: either God or the universe itself. Now, full disclosure, I was raised under the Christian worldview, and today I'm a born-again Christian. But there was a time when I doubted God's existence. In those agnostic years, I explored other ideas, but none of them struck me as viable. Even then, I felt that if any God existed, it was the God of the Bible. Maybe you've had a similar journey. If so, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Just be respectful and honest. So with that behind us, let's move forward. I know I'm not the only one searching. Many of us consider ourselves truth seekers. But in a world full of conflicting voices, how do we sort through it all? How do we avoid indoctrination or misinformation? Is there a framework we can use to consistently test ideas? I believe there is. And if you stay with me to the end, I think you'll see why this framework makes sense. Welcome to the Truth Lab. My name is E. Aubrey Smith. I'm a former agnostic and a fellow truth seeker. On this channel, we use the framework of science, philosophy, and theology to examine life's biggest questions. Think of it like this. FBI profilers use a framework to track suspects and predict behavior. If their profile is wrong, the case can fall apart, leading to dire consequences. In the same way, we need a reliable framework for seeking truth. Without one, we're likely to make critical mistakes, like devaluing human life. We've all seen, and some of us have felt, the consequences of that. Here's how the framework works. Science gives us data about matter and energy, but scientific conclusions are often influenced by presuppositions, assumptions, and biases. Theology looks at life through a spiritual lens, offering answers about purpose, morality, and destiny. But theologians, too, bring their biases. Philosophy gives us the tools to evaluate both, uncover fallacies and biases, and separate assumptions from facts. When you bring all three together, you have a powerful approach to truth-seeking. So let's put the framework to the test. Tell me in the comments if you think this is a viable means of uncovering truth. One of the biggest questions we face is, how did life begin? Science. Biology and chemistry tell us life is built from molecules, proteins, DNA, RNA. Some scientists propose yet another origin that defies known and established laws of physics: spontaneous generation, also called abiogenesis, the theory that life arose from non-living matter through unguided natural processes over millions of years. This is despite the established law that non-living matter cannot produce life. Materialists insist that this happened in a one-time event. Two scientists attempted to prove this. In the Miller-Urey experiment, amino acids were produced under simulated conditions, but they were not conducive to life at all. In fact, they were the exact opposite of the amino acids needed to produce living organisms, and they had to be extracted from toxic sludge inhospitable to life of any kind. Beyond that, the leap from amino acids to a living, self-replicating cell remains unexplained. Despite decades of research, no experiment has shown how life can spontaneously generate. In reality, this experiment actually falsified the hypothesis of spontaneous generation. Yet, despite the lack of observable, repeatable data, materialists maintain that this is how life originated, making it clear to any critical thinker that ideology, not data, is driving the narrative. Theology. Theology provides another answer, that life was intentionally created. The book of Genesis in the Bible tells us that God formed living beings in His own image and gifted them with the ability to reproduce according to their kinds. Here, life has purpose from the beginning, not by accident, but by design. Theologians have never provided empirical proof of God's existence. They insist that faith is needed to connect with God, and that faith requires no empirical evidence. Philosophy. This is where philosophy comes in. Philosophy gives us the tools to evaluate both, uncover fallacies and biases, and separate assumptions from facts. Through uncovering the logical fallacies and cognitive biases in these worldviews, I've concluded that an eternal, intelligent, uncaused cause is a far better explanation for the origin of life in the universe. Why? Because the human body is far too complex and orderly to have come about without intelligence. There has never been any observation of order and complexity in the universe that didn't trace back to an intelligent source. Ironically, it is more of a scientific claim to invoke God as the source of origins than it is to invoke time and random unguided forces. What do you think of this framework? How viable do you think it is as a tool for truth-seeking? Share your thoughts in the comments.